Craig and backwards world Craig.
Yeah, get Georg.
Jark.
Get Georg. Georg. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventure, where we talk
Shit.
Well, all sorts of bollocks and sometimes about rock and metal. I am not Phil.
And I am similarly not Dave. Look at that. Did it normal and shit.
Yeah, you did. And
who else have we got today?
You're fucking right. Today we've got someone who isn't Phil or Dave. It's our exalted leader, digital Ubermensch, and everyone's favourite Peter Griffin lookalike. Say hello, Wayne.
I do, you all right?
So, we like Wayne, but not in a Noah's Arcade kind of way. We actually like Wayne.
Yeah, it's not like we're going to have...
This man, he still has a penis, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, this man has no penis. That's Ghostbusters, isn't it?
No, it's off Wayne's World. He's got those fucking cards they're holding up that's like, this man has no penis. Yeah. This man blows goats, I have proof.
Yeah, that's the one I always remember. This man blows goats, I have proof. Well, it certainly does suck. The buzz cut. It's sucking my
I wanted one so bad, man.
Yeah, man, wanted one. Can you imagine the cut it'd give you, though? That'd be weird. Like, it'd all be one length if you held it upright, but when it's hanging down, it would appear different lengths, because your shit on top would be shorter than your shit on the side.
Yeah, it'd be like a perfect layering.
It'd be weird.
It'd be like a wedge that just goes down the side of your head.
That would be a fucked up dude. That would be nearly as bad as the dude in the meme.
Yeah, just fuck my shit up.
So today we have Wayne with us as a guest, and in a bit we're going to be talking about Wayne's pick
bath
for...
time habits.
I'm sure that'll come up. But you see what I did? It'll come up. So what Wayne did earlier in the week, he sent Phil and myself a message where he had put links to his 5 favourite metal tunes, and we're going to go over them. And he put a wild card in, and I fucking hate him. We're going to have to talk about that shit, aren't we? But before we get to that, because obviously we will discuss Wayne's taste in metal before we look at them songs. We always start... Wayne, you edit this show, so you know how we start anyway. But we always start with a bit of news and your general bullshit chatter. And so what has everyone been up to? Is there anything in the news anyone has noticed? What have we been watching? What have we been listening to?
I've been avoiding the news because it's
fucking right.
Depressing bollocks.
Yeah.
What have I seen? Oh, fuck it. Bilbo Baggins is dead. That was sad, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. Ash from Alien, as I remember.
Yeah, man.
That's always the one I remember him in, man, when he's going tits crazy in that room, fucking spitting up milk.
With all milk coming out of him,
Yeah, that scene was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, he died, man. 80 years old. Didn't you say... So me and Phil got together last night and got fucking shiters in the garden.
Yeah.
And didn't you say last night it was Parkinson's?
Yeah, he had Parkinson's disease.
I didn't know that. I didn't read the story. When I saw the headline, I was like, that's sad. I don't need to know the circumstances.
Is Parkinson's a disease or a syndrome? It's a disease, isn't it?
They call it a disease. Yeah, it's called Parkinson's disease. I mean, I don't know the difference, but
I couldn't remember whether it was Parkinson's syndrome. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, that was sad. That was sad.
So, like, the news is depressing anyway.
There is some specifically nice news today, though, because we're recording this on Father's Day, which is June 21st.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah,
it is. Fucking hell, I've missed it.
Yeah, man, it's going quick. But so there was a couple of nice Father's Day spots I read on Loudwire. Jay Weinberg, obviously,
for Slipknot.
Now of Slipknot, yeah. Well, we've talked before how his dad, Max Weinberg, is the drummer in the E Street Band,
man.
Bruce Springsteen's band. And for Father's Day, he did a cover of Candy's, what's it called? Candy's Bedroom from, let me see, was it Candy's Bedroom? Candy's Room, it's called. It's from the same Springsteen record as Badlands from 1977, 78.
Is there lots of horns in it?
Not really. It's quite fast. Like it starts, it's like 16ths on the hats, like tick, 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 tick. And there's a big kind of snare roll that goes throughout the first, 4 or 5 bars. And he's recorded it as like a Father's Day gift because obviously it was his dad playing on the original.
Yeah.
But he did it with some other dudes. He has done it with Minnie Parsons from Royal Thunder, who was on vocals, High on Fire's Jeff Matz, Mutoid Man's Stephen.
Oh yeah, I'm listening to it now. It's good, man.
Yeah, man. I listened to it earlier, and I listened to the original, and it's fun, man. It's just nice on Father's Day. This dude out of Slipknot and X of Madball, and like properly a bit of a metal drumming fucking powerhouse. And he's covering Springsteen for his dad for Father's Day. I thought that was a nice. I mean, there's nothing more to it than that.
And do you know what? It sounds better than most metal covers that I hear. I dislike metal covers on the whole because I don't know. I think it's because it feels like try-hardedness when they're doing it. Mean. You know, it's that dude, and is it Leapfrog Studios or something?
Yeah, I mean, I used to dig that Leapfrog stuff, but I can't stop hearing the drums now.
I just can't listen to it. He's pulling like all those dumb faces while
I can't watch the videos.
It makes me want to cut my eyes out.
I wouldn't mind watching it live because he tours it live with a full band, and he's got Rabia Masad playing guitar for him.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind watching it live because he basically, as far as I'm aware, he just sings, that guy. And when I've seen videos of him live, it looks like a lot of fun. But the stuff he does, he's like playing a caricature when he does it on video.
Yeah.
And
but this is the thing, I don't even think that, like, it's got that metal sound that it's nothing metal to me. Like, I like my metal, like anything else that I listen to. It has to be authentic, extremely something. Like I have to feel something. Like if I want to listen to pop music, I want to listen to the poppiest of the pop music. It has to sound be good, but it has to sound like it's supposed to sound. Whereas like metal, if it's heavy, I want it to be heavy. If it's melodic, I want it to be melodic. But you know, it was the same problem that I had with a lot of the Trivium stuff that I've had with a lot of the Trivium stuff since Ascendancy. Really, it doesn't have the heart in it in the same way they used to.
It's sometimes Trivium specifically sometimes sounds a little bit theatric. Like we talked about it when we were doing those 2 records a few weeks back. We talked about specifically his vocal delivery and how it's almost like something off a musical. So yeah, covers. That's the nature of covers. I'll tell you what.
Other news? Is there any other news?
There's nothing of like great. I mean, there was one here that I refused to read because it's a bit political, and I like to stay away from that shit. Tom Petty's family ripped Donald Trump over unauthorized use of a song.
Yeah,
didn't really go into any.
Was that Aerosmith did the same, didn't they? Like, in his first campaign, they got really pissed off because he was using "Dream On" or something. I think it was.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. If I was a big signed artist and a politician, a political campaign used part of my back catalogue to soundtrack their campaign or whatever, if it was something that I believed in, or if it was like, well, I'm voting for them anyway, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. You know what I mean? I wouldn't really care. But Donald Trump is using these songs, and then people who are ardently like against him, he's using their music. And I would have thought that his campaign managers and stuff are aware enough of how disliked he is that they'd be checking that shit so that these problems didn't happen.
Probably are, though, to a point. They like winding people up, don't they?
Yeah, I have to wonder how much of that is intentional, like, be a provocateur. But we're talking about the fucking president of the strongest superpower on the face of the earth. You would have thought, I don't know, I just feel like there's no forethought goes into some of what he does. Or if there is, it's so intentional that it's theatric again. And it's like, are you really in a position where theatrics should be a concern? But again, this is politics, man. So there's one story I thought you might be interested in, Phil. Are you familiar with a band called Stormtroopers Death?
Yeah.
Right, so their drummer...
SOD.
Yeah, man. Their drummer, Charlie Benante, I think that's how you pronounce it. He has claimed that he and SOD recorded the first ever blast beat. He claims it was in 1985. Here's what he actually says, right? Apparently he's known for his work
The
with
first
Anthrax.
metal blast beat.
Well,
because
he
it's a
doesn't really
jazz rudiment.
Oh, well, I wasn't aware of that, but so yeah, I guess we're talking metal. So his quote is, there's this style of beat called blast beat. And I will say that the first time ever that type of beat was recorded and played on a record was on this SOD record that we did in 1985. And I'm tired of people not crediting that was the first time. Now, I did a little bit of research into this, very, very brief, like literally just Googled first blast beat recording.
What track's it on?
He says it is on. He does say in here somewhere. There we go. It's a song called Milk.
Right.
And it's from 1985. But like I say, I did the briefest bit of research, literally just one Google search, and I found 2, if not 3,
prior ones.
Like in 1982, Asocial did it on a song called bollocks. Can't remember the name of the song, but it was on an EP, and then the song was re-recorded for a full record in 1983. So that's the same song that it was recorded in 2 separate times where it was used. Napalm Death actually coined the term blast beat and put it on a record in 1985. Could have been before this, being the same year. Sepultura did it on something. All it was listed as was track 11. So I don't know if that's the name of the song or if they were literally just stating it's the 11th track on a record from 1985. But
Dirty Rotten Imbeciles as well. They blast quite a lot. I mean, they're a punk band, but
yeah. I mean, I was under the impression he does say here, right? He says, of course, people perfected it and play it way better, but that was the first time that blast beat was on a record. If you can prove me wrong, prove me wrong, but I believe that was the first time. And like I said, other people have mastered it and done it way better, and I never took it any further. That was it. It fit in that song, Milk. Like when we would play it live, I more played it. The more I started to develop a different way of playing it, because it's really badly written, this, because I would always play it with a single kick drum, and I would either reverse it, which I think Paul from Cannibal Corpse played more of that style of blast beat. I would play it either with the ride or I would play it with the hi-hat, reversing it. And then he says, when SOD would play more and more shows, I would always develop it. And he goes on to talk about Dimmu Borgir. He says, when I heard that Dimmu Borgir record, Puritanical Euphoric Misanthropia, Nick Barker's drumming on that record was, to me, one of those moments where another door opened and he took the blast beat style to a whole new level. Well, all right. So if I'm reading this right, he's saying, I didn't invent it, but we were the first to record it. And I was never the best at it, and I did a simple version. And since then, other people have made more of it, but we did it first. I can't help but think you kind of answered my question already because you said it's a jazz rudiment.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, how can anyone claim to invent a technique? Like people credit Van Halen with inventing tapping, but there's evidence of other people tapping before him. He just developed it to a point where it sounded the way it did, and it became what we know as tapping. But Eddie Van Halen has never claimed to be the first to record it or invent it. How can anyone claim to invent a technique? Like, I'm not sure I'm on board with that way of thinking.
Yeah, the only way I guess somebody could claim is if it's something that's like really like a super complex thing that they haven't obviously learned from somebody else, nobody's ever talked about before. If they physically nobody has ever seen it before, and until someone can prove them wrong, then I guess they can claim they invented it to a degree. But like you say, a rudiment is just like I don't know. Sorry, I'm hanging out my ass and my brain's not working properly.
It's a technique, isn't it? The idea of any
it's like a combination of techniques, like sometimes. So
I mean, the thing we talked about, that Steve Vai thing, again in the news section, was it last week or the week before? You said that Steve Vai has released this song, Candle Power, for his 60th birthday. Well, since then I've been watching stuff, and he is saying he's invented a new technique to
Yeah, I
play
saw something about that.
And the idea is it's multiple bends, basically. You're holding one string while you're bending two others, but they'll be around the string that you're holding. And then one of them will go back to pitch while the other one is still bent or whatever. And it's, don't get me wrong, it doesn't look easy to do. And it's
But it's
not
still
something
string
you hear
bending.
loads. But, well, do you know what it really is? Is it's lap steel kind of bend. It's nothing new. And country players have been doing that for fucking decades. So how can he claim, as much as I love Steve Vai, how can he claim to have invented a new technique?
Is he doing it? Which hand is he doing it with?
His left.
Because steel players, they're more like slide guitar, isn't it? If you're on your lap
to a degree, but if you were fretting it, bearing in mind a lap steel, for anyone who doesn't know, if you imagine the way you'd hold a guitar where the strings are facing away from your body, if you turned that so it was on your lap and the strings are facing up, that's the position that a lap steel guitar would be in, although it looks like a table.
And it's got pedal. They call it pedal steel as well, don't they?
Yeah, because you've got different. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure what them pedals do, and it is played often with slide, but you'll see people fretting them with fingering certain notes instead, and they do a lot of those bends, because if you think about the way your hand would be on that fretboard, it's like a claw above it. So if you clench your fingers together, you can bend multiple strings together at once. But people have been doing it on regular guitars, like it's a Telecaster thing. What the fuck?
Can you hear the motorbikes outside my house?
Yeah, is that your house?
Could you hear my neighbours before?
I could hear someone talking. I assumed it was Catherine.
Yeah. No, there's people next door having a party.
Motherfuckers. Yeah. So I mean, how does someone invent a technique? And the thing is, I think Steve Vai, I don't know if he claimed he'd invented this new technique or if just everyone else did, but he named it. He's called it fucking knuckle drifting or something daft like that.
Oh yeah, summit drifting, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, I don't really understand how he must have had a hand in claiming that it's a new technique if he's given it a name. But then you've got a bunch of other people who, I can understand they're fans, but there's certain YouTube guitarists that are really prominent who are just blowing Steve Vai over this. And I can't help but think, surely with your musical knowledge, you're aware that what he's doing is not entirely new. He's approaching it in a different way, but
I feel like inventing's maybe the wrong word. Developing is probably more accurate.
You see, I don't think anyone would have had a problem with it there. And to be fair to this dude, what's his name now? Charlie Benante. To be fair to him, he doesn't anywhere in this, or at least not in these snippets in this story. None of his quotes say that he invented it.
No.
He hasn't claimed that. He just claims to have been the first who recorded it. But if anyone wants to check it out, the song is Milk from the Stormtroopers of Death's 85 debut record, which was possibly the most racist named record I've ever seen. It's called Speak English or Die. Which,
yeah, to be fair, he's so on the Blabbermouth article for it, it's Anthrax's Charlie Benante is tired, in quote marks, unquote, of not being credited as the pioneer of blast beats, quote marks.
Yeah.
And then he's retweeted this and says, ha 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 ha, please give me the credit. I also invented the internet and the Flowbee.
Oh, okay. So
he's taking it with a pinch of salt himself, I believe.
Because clearly they've put a headline on to get his clickbait.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, there's other points where he's replying to other people saying stuff as if he is kind of agreeing with the article. It's a difficult one, but at the same time, he was an early heavy drummer who did blast beats, so he's fairly pioneering anyway. Got to give him credit for that at least.
Oh yeah, very much. But I mean, just purely on the basis of opinion, who do you think? Who do you personally is like your favorite blaster? Who do you think is best at it?
Derek Roddy. He's the guy that I go to. I mean, he's in all sorts of stuff. He's in oh fuck my brain. Yeah, it's Niall. Yeah, Niall.
From Niall. Yeah.
He's not the only Niall drummer by any means. There's a Greek guy who was playing for him. I think he's classed as the original drummer, maybe. But yeah, no, my brain's gone to sleep. I'm not going to be much use with any fucking thing. Hate Eternal's another band he played in.
I know
it's all super fast and heavy, but Nile is obviously really nicely recorded, and Hate Eternal sounds. There's like, have you heard Bolt Thrower before?
I know Bolt Thrower. Yeah,
it's almost like there's
out of Nile, Hate Eternal, and Bolt Thrower, I'm probably most familiar with Bolt.
Yeah, well, you know how badly Bolt Thrower sounds recorded. It's got that kind of noise over the top of everything.
Intentional.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. Is it like because it's?
I think like, they want it to sound abrasive, you know. They want
like it's like people think Dimmu Borgir is a pop band essentially because it's really well recorded black metal,
crisp as fuck.
Exactly, whereas everything else sounds like horrible and deliberately so. And I feel like that's the same. Like Nile is really well produced, but Hate Eternal is deliberately, because it's like the Hate Eternal stuff. They released albums after Nile. Were recording already, obviously, and they still sound horrible.
Yeah, I think there's because like you can be heavy and nasty without having a horrible like Pig Destroyer and Cattle Decapitation. It's just fucking terrifying sound,
visceral noise.
Yeah, but at the same time, who was that band that you put me onto? We talked about them on one of the really early podcasts before. I think we were Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventure. It might have been back when we were on the radio.
Nathrak.
Yes, and they are purposely recording in a way that it's like,
you know, it's unlistenable.
Oh, it is. You know, back in the day when if you like copied a tape off the radio and then your mate recorded it and his mate recorded it, sooner or later down the line, that tape is just, you can only just hear the music in it, and it's just That Anal Nathrak, that's what they've done intentionally. It's like they've decided we're going to record this, but then when it's being mastered, we want the tape to be kind of run dry to the point where it's just all interference on top, because that's the most nasty sound we can imagine. And I feel like Hate Eternal are probably doing something similar. Like they want it to be abrasive. They don't want you to have an easy time listening to it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you're probably right.
Well, it's not often I am, to be honest.
It's not. Hate Eternal's not it's not like visceral noise like Anal Nathrak, but it isn't.
No, it's not.
It's not super tight and crisp sounding. And Bolt Thrower is like next level muddy.
Like again, intentional. I think Bolt Thrower. I like Bolt Thrower, and I think that's one of the names in metal as well. That name is excellent. Any other stories you see on Blabbermouth? I'm on Loudwire. Kurt Cobain's MTV Unplugged guitar was sold for $6 million.
Fucking right.
Bought by the dude who owns Rode Mics.
Bought by the guy who owns the world.
Nice. The man who sold the world.
6 million. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. That's
going to put it up there among the most expensive guitars ever, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like money that I will never see in my life, let alone have in my life.
I can't help but think if I had that much money, I'd feel guilty about buying something. Even if I was worth billions, spending 6 million on a piece of nostalgia, I'd feel like there's better things could be done for the world with it. I'd feel guilty, you know.
Serge Tankian's been airing his views that are opposite to his drummer John Dalmayan, is it?
We talked about this last time. I can't pronounce any of their names.
Serge Tankian, I can pronounce only because I've heard it a lot of times. But
Wayne, pop quiz. Who is Serge Tankian?
Not a Scooby-Doo.
Can you think of an Armenian metal band?
No.
Wake up! When he put a little wake up.
Oh, if you'd have just said, it's because she said his last name. Serge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man.
And because you said it posh as well.
Serge.
If you'd have just said Serge, I don't know what you meant.
There's, so he's just saying that we can no longer withstand stupid leadership. And I guess...
How much more plain could you put it?
Yeah, that's it. That's blunt and to the point.
Do you think they argue about it? Because they work together. And John...
they don't really record together anymore, so I guess they only see each other when they're practicing and stuff, and maybe they've got the sense to kind of like not debate it because they've got different views. It's like if I have an opposing view with somebody, we'll talk about it once. I'll realize that we have opposing views. I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion.
But that guy John Brurian, just last week or the week before, he was talking about the quote. The headline was that Trump is the best. He is the best friend minorities have ever had in America. And in that interview, he went on to say how, me and Serge, we have like violently opposing views, but it's testament to how we can still work together. We're still friends. And he made a joke. He said, anyway, he can't get rid of me because I'm in his band. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think it's nice that two intelligent men can have opposing views, know that, and still like, well, it doesn't affect our work.
No, that's
and we like working together. And well, do they? Because they don't work together really anymore, as you said. So
yeah, I think I don't know what's causing them not to, because everybody.
I've heard a few things.
Yeah, I've heard a few things, but they're all contradictory. So like some of them are, like originally I heard it was
Darren, what's
Darren,
his name?
yeah, Malkian, yeah. He was like, everybody was saying he's the difficult one. You know, it's trouble to work with. But all the recent stuff I've heard is that Serge can't.
From what I understand, I mean, I don't know the details because, as you say, it's all quite contradictory. But from what I understand, the main kind of rift started because Darren Malkian was taking more money. Right. As lead songwriter, he was taking far more money than the rest of them, and they didn't like it. But he refused to. From what I could be completely wrong, but from what I understood from various articles and stuff, he basically didn't ever suggest we should all be paid equally. He was happy just taking the lion's share. And now it's got to the point where Serge Tankian is happy doing his own thing. So he's in no rush to get back. And when the others...
he's hardly doing anything.
But he does a lot outside of music, is the thing. He's a campaigner and that kind of thing. You know, he has other things going on. And he's happy doing that. So although Darren Malkian now might have said, like, yeah, we should get back together... I'll write some material and this time we'll all be paid equally. Now Serge is the one who's not bothered because he's got other shit to do. And it's like, well,
I guess, but then at the same time, Catherine's favourite band in the world, System of a Down, she's like, I wish they'd just fucking split up. I wish they'd just fucking split up.
Yeah, because, I must admit.
Because all they do is come out for the payouts at the big concerts.
Yeah, like they were supposed to headline Download, of course, on Sunday, a week ago today. And I can't help but think, like, Tool were away for 13 years, and then they headlined Download because they put a new record out. And
it's similar to like Rage, they headlined Download as well, and Leeds Fest, I believe. I mean, this is going back several years because I haven't been for a while, but they haven't released anything for like decades.
No, I think the Battle of Los Angeles was there.
No, they've released that Renegades.
Renegades. Album. They did Renegades, didn't they? Yeah, that was about, from memory, I'd say about 98.
Something like, I can't remember.
So we're talking over 20 years.
That's what I'm saying. It's like 2 decades since they've released anything, and they've had other bands since. They just haven't released their own stuff. They haven't recorded anything.
Well, Brad,
they seem to fuck off just when it was when. What's his face came into power, wasn't it? Bush, George W.
When would that have been?
Like 2001?
2000. Well, he was president at 9/11, wasn't he? So, and their election years are even numbers, so I'd guess 2000. Yeah.
But they just kind of disappeared around that time, and everyone was like,
which is weird because
this is when you want
with the band who's all protest.
Exactly, that's when they'd be most useful.
Well, of course, they've been in the news recently because they're kind of having a bit of a resurgence, and people are offended at Tom Morello's political views and saying, like, they're surprised. I don't really understand it. I didn't read too much about it, but there's people saying, like, until Tom Morello said what he, things about Trump, I was a big fan, but I'll never listen to their music again.
What were you listening to him for before?
Exactly. I mean, it's become a meme. It's become a meme. There was this one dude on Twitter, one of the famous replies. There was this one guy, I don't remember the names. I haven't looked it up. This is from memory. There's this one guy who basically said, I'm never going to listen to Rage Against the Machine or Tom Morello's music again. I never realized that he had left-leaning views. And if I'd have known that, I wouldn't have supported him in the first place. And the famous reply that kind of went viral was this dude saying, "What machine was it you thought they were raging about? The dishwasher." And it's like, I mean, how could anyone for Sleep Now in the Fire, the video for Sleep Now in the Fire, they all got arrested because they set up a stage on Wall Street to protest the financial system.
Yeah.
Every songs like Take the Power Back,
Guerrilla Radio.
Everything that band have ever done has clearly been very much power to the people, leaning on the left. What were these people reading into it before? I don't fucking understand where they're coming from at all. It's like there's no basis for their argument.
There's so much like minority oppression stuff in their lyrics. It's not even thinly veiled. It is
on his guitar. It says "Arm the homeless" on his guitar, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? I don't really understand where those
people don't seem to get the irony of the things they say, though. Like, they'll say shit without even thinking about it, and they won't realize why they're stupid.
There's so many people in this world that think they're smarter than they are. And you know what? We're all guilty of it. You and me and Wayne and every one of us, we all say things that make us look stupid. And sometimes we think we understand things that we probably don't.
By the hour.
But when you overtly put an idea out that you are smart, and I know how the world works, and my opinion on this, like the George Floyd thing or Trump or fucking COVID or whatever it is, I think this, and I'm well researched. What's your research? I watched a video on YouTube.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Get in the bin with the flat earthers.
Innit? Fucking ridiculous.
This is it. Like, you can say, like, me and you, we can talk openly, but don't put things on social media that you're going to regret like that.
Oh, do you know, I'm not going to name names. I know a dude who has his opinions, and you know what? There is no black and white. There's a lot of grey area in between. And I agree with a lot of what he says, and I disagree with a lot of what he says. Now, the good thing is I can have a conversation with him, and I can disagree with him, and it's friendly. Or I can agree with him. What annoys me is he will post what he says is research for what he thinks is a big point that everyone else has missed.
I believe I may have noticed this guy before.
I would be surprised if you weren't aware of who I was talking about. Obviously, I'm not going to name him on air or whatever, but the idea that when he posts this stuff, he thinks, well, I'm researched, I'm well read, I've done this. And his research will be some BBC article that makes a point. And it's like, well, yeah, no one's denying what you're saying is true, but you're saying it is a major factor people have missed. The reason people aren't talking about it is because it's completely insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter whatsoever. And half of what you say is research is a YouTube video. I can make a YouTube video. We do make YouTube videos. Are they in any way a source to be fucking pointed at?
Even when it's like an article, just because it's in print doesn't make it right. The Sun prints stuff all the time that I can fucking line me bin with. It's just shite, but it's I don't know. Everybody has an opinion, and they're just like assholes. They smell like shit, and no one wants to see them.
I was just going to say exactly the same thing, man. Opinions are like assholes. We've all got one, and fucking no one's interested in anyone else's. Speaking of Rage Against the Machine, though, there is one.
Fuck you! I won't do what you tell me.
Rage Against the Machine streams have spiked 62% since the protest started, which again makes me think, like, how did anyone not know that this was a band that were in protest against the right? Fucking insane. So that's the news anyway.
Do you know what? If nothing else, I hope from all of the bad stuff that's going on, I hope there's a resurgence of like 90s alternative rock that hates everything.
Yeah, man. I like the idea that people have a voice through music.
Yeah.
Like being in if one person of some kind of platform has an opinion and writes music about it, and he can get 15,000 people singing it back at him, bollocks. I would assume that those 15,000 people are in some level of agreement in what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's a much more cathartic and even valid form of protest than fucking smashing shop windows and
looting is
burning.
not protesting.
Yeah, fuck. It's self-gain. It's bullshit. But yeah, fuck it. That's the news anyway. Unless you've got any more.
I have no more.
We got really political then. We got deep.
Yeah,
we're fucking
now and again.
Dude, you and me are smart, man.
We're SMRT smart.
We are educating motherfuckers on this show. So, what's everyone been listening to? Why don't you gentlemen tell me what you've been watching, what you've been listening to? How's your week panned out?
Do you want to go first? When do you want to have a?
I'm bothered me. You can. I've got something to ask you now.
Fucking hell, Wayne! What?
Ask away.
Why are you even here?
I
know, fucking load of shit. Get invited onto the show and I never say out.
I know.
So this is quietest I've ever been. This.
I know. Normally, I'm like waiting for a chance to speak between you two.
How much bush do you think 104-year-old lesbians getting?
Don't know. Maybe a lot from other 104-year-old lesbians.
Is that a demographic that we appeal to? Because I don't want to offend anyone.
It's not a demographic I'm familiar with at all, but
the 104-year-old lesbian crowd.
Yeah.
So, so what have we been listening to? That was a weird detour. What have we been listening to?
Yeah.
What have we been doing?
Yeah, go for it.
I've not been really. I listen to loads of crap while I'm doing like.
Tell us, man.
YouTube
What's it been?
All that kind of
what's
stuff.
it been for the last week?
You know what I listen to.
It's been pretty much because obviously I've DJ'd for years and years, so I'd listen to literally all kinds of crap. But I normally put Amazon on or something like that, and just listen to different playlists. I've been listening to a band lately called Tesseract.
Oh, fucking love Tesseract. Fucking mint. Good choice, man.
They were at Bloodstock last year.
Awesome
band. And I saw them live, and they were really good. There were quite a few people that weren't really into them, but I thought they were great.
I wouldn't have thought they're a Bloodstock band.
Yeah, Bloodstock's kind of like the heavier kind of old school sounding metal. They're more proggy.
So they played during the day. They want like an headliner or anything. They played during the day. But yeah, so I've been listening to them. I thought, give it a bit of a try. And then to completely contrast that, I've been listening to a bit of 90s and 2000 pop. You know
what's give us your standout.
Oh well, right. So everything from a bit of Five.
Fucking Five.
You can't beat a bit of Five. To a bit of Justin Timberlake.
Make you get up.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been listening, and then Green Day's popped in my playlists, and
what era Green Day are we talking?
Basket Case era.
Oh, Dookie. 1994, 93.
90. Let's Google this year.
I think it's
fucking great record. It's a fucking great record. Could even be early, it could be 92, but it's fucking record.
I feel like I remember 93 for some reason, but
I always think 94 because that was about the time that I was getting into bands like that. So I would have heard it for the first time in 94. Doesn't mean that's when it came out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Insomniac was 95 as well.
94.
Oh, it was.
There you go.
Yeah. Fucking get in.
What, you were wrong though?
Fuck off. I couldn't think of a comeback, so you just got to fuck off.
So yeah, so I've been listening to a bit of all kinds of crap, and I've been watching a TV series called Person of Interest.
Haven't watched that.
It's
Jim Caviezel and Ben from Lost, whose name, the actor's name I don't remember.
Yeah,
but it's got Jesus in it. Jesus is in it though.
Yeah,
actual Jesus.
Yeah, Jim Caviezel, man, he played Jesus in Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I've been watching that as well. It's what do you call it? It's quite old. It started in 2011, and I've only just really got round to it.
Cancelled, I believe, Wayne. So
yeah, they're not doing no more now, which is a bit of a do. But
I like shows that have been cancelled. Hold on, my Discord's not on. I feel like I need to put this. Did you Google 104-year-old lesbian?
Granny lesbians.
Nice.
I can't vouch for their age, but they're not young.
So while we're this doesn't make any sense to anyone listening. While we're recording, right? We record on a Discord server, and there's a text chat window that like takes up most of the screen. So while we're recording, me and Phil often send each other ridiculous photos that will try to like put each other off while we're recording. Like last time, we just kept sending Wayne. If you scroll up, you'll see a load of photos of fatties. That's what we were doing when we were recording the other day. We were just sending a load of photos of fatties, and Phil's just sent us a nice photo of two incredibly old lesbians going at it.
They're having a good time, bless them.
They are. They're enjoying themselves. And who says the fun should stop when you're near death?
The fun should never stop.
No, I agree. Die having fun.
Yeah. Yes, mate. That's what I'm talking about.
So
I could die with a smile on my face.
From shows that have been cancelled to lesbians that are not far from cancellation themselves. Their
nation.
So, Phil, what about you? What you've been listening to? What you've been watching? Because for us, this is a bit strange because we normally record like a week apart, but we recorded the last episode because last week was Download TV, and
Yes,
we had to wait for that to finish before we could do a show about it.
So that was Tuesday, Wednesday, was it?
It was Thursday, man.
Was
and
it
today's
really?
Sunday. Yeah, so we only recorded like 3 days ago, and we do most of our listening in our respective jobs. So what we're listening to since Thursday would really have only been Friday.
I did a lot of skipping through a metal covers playlist on Spotify because, as I said, there's a lot of it that just sounds like people trying to sound like the original or trying to sound like proper fucking tryhards.
Yeah.
When
you say metal covers, was it people covering metal tracks or like metal bands covering pop songs?
Metal bands covering metal songs. So like Trivium doing Master of Puppets, Anthrax doing Carry On Wayward, some that's pretty much the exact same as the original, but well done. I mean, it's well done.
Some of them are good. Like the Killswitch did Holy Diver.
Stone Sour's Creeping Death's really good, actually.
Yeah, that is a good one. I'm not a big Stone Sour fan,
no,
but that is a good one, to be fair,
yeah. What's another one that I liked? I forget. But yeah, I got kind of bored of that eventually, and went on to Alice in Chains. I keep going back to the same shit, like Alice in Chains and Nirvana. Chris Isaac, I was listening to more of him.
Nice.
Mudhoney, started listening to them, and L7, a lot of grunge type stuff.
Well, last time we spoke, I was singing the praises of Bleed From Within's new record, Fracture.
Yeah.
I listened because that was Thursday night, as I say, at work on Friday.
I'm going to put that on my listening list now because I forgot to.
Well, I listened to that again on Friday, and it is honestly. I mean, I'd be interested to hear what you think of it next time we record, man. If you've had a chance to listen, because if we go back, well, I'm sure we will. We'll go back to doing the album thing where we're comparing records and what. I would suggest them as an interesting one, comparing Fracture to like their some of their earlier work. Like their first record is from something like 2008, I believe, 2009, Humanity, and it's a good record. But this new one is honestly, I think it might be the best metal release of the year. Like it's
a bold statement.
Bearing in mind, we've got.
I'm going to put Era on as well because I haven't listened to that one, to be honest.
That's a good record. That was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
I'll give them both a go.
Yeah, I mean, I just think. I mean, I've always known they were a good band. There's always been a band but they've always been on the periphery. You know what I mean? They've never been like center focus. And I just feel like if they don't get big where they deserve to be after this record, that it's just not fair. You know what I mean? It's a fucking incredible.
You're gonna chuck your toys out.
Oh, I will totally. It'll be like if they're not playing among the biggest names after this record, there's no fucking justice in the world. It's honestly, I mean, like I talked last time about how the drummer is also the drummer from Silosis.
Yeah.
And I knew that they were due a new record, but I didn't know it was out already. It was listening to Fracture that Spotify told me Silosis' new record is out. So I forget what that's called. But I had to listen to that, and their new record's fucking excellent as well. It's a banger. I can't remember what it's called now, but
what's that? Sorry,
Silosis.
Yeah.
It's a banger, and because Bleed From Within put me onto that, I listened to that. And if I'm honest, under normal circumstances, because Silosis are kind of darker, I would probably gravitate more towards that generally.
Because you're a morose motherfucker.
I am, but I do kind of go towards the darker stuff. I don't know why. I mean, I'd consider myself quite a happy-go-lucky, chirpy chap.
I'd agree with that.
But I do tend to gravitate towards the darker stuff, and not just in music. If I'm honest, you know, I'm a horror fan. I like a dark comedy, dark thrillers, things like that. I would normally Silosis would probably be more up my street generally, but after listening, because I listened to Fracture first, Silosis wasn't doing it for me anymore. It was like, no, I've just got to listen to Fracture again. It was just fucking excellent record. And other than that, so last night we got together and I pulled my Boss Katana Air out and we used it as a Bluetooth speaker.
We did. It was nice.
And there was some interesting tunes came up on that because everyone was like just picking a song and, you know, to keep it fair.
And we are all not of the same musical tastes.
Not at all. So I made a playlist and just looking over the playlist now, it's very varied. We went from fucking Blink to Despised Icon and then suddenly to Backstreet Boys. It was, you know what I mean? It was nice though. It's nice to have some because it's all good music. You know what I mean? It's just different types. But one thing that I did put on, so we had a conversation with my brother-in-law. I think you were awake at this point because Phil fell asleep in a chair in the garden.
I did.
But
after, I don't know, like
a lot of booze.
Yeah. Good lad,
and
good lad.
And it wasn't when you say 12 beers, he wasn't knocking back like Foster's. He was drinking fucking the good stuff. You were drinking last night. What's the orange IPA, the Vocation?
Is it
Love and Hate?
Love and Hate, the 7.2.
And it's 7.2%, and he put a fucking stack of them inside him. So, you know, no shame in falling asleep at that point. None at all.
I don't like how I feel today at all.
Does it remind you why you stopped drinking?
I was sat on the couch just thinking, I ain't doing this again.
You fucking are, because in about 2 weeks we'll be doing it again in the garden. So
yeah, I'm gonna like fake fill all my cans, so everything's just but I've already opened and poured them out and filled them with cola.
Just tins of water.
Yeah.
That would be excellent to have a pressurized tin of flat water. But yeah, so my brother-in-law, who is not into metal at all, he was saying last night, I put Toxic Garbage Island on by Gojira, and he was saying that's just noise, like there's no music in it. Now, bearing in mind, he's not a musician in any way, and I got my fucking music degree hat on, and I was like, I won't lie, I was lecturing him. I was telling him, well, it's not about preference sometimes. Even if you don't like it, you've got to appreciate what's gone into it.
We should start a new section, Dave's Drunk Lectures.
But the thing is, he started saying, yeah, but it's all men, it's really misogynistic, and it's all men, and there's no real music in it and all this. So I couldn't help myself. I was like, I'm going to put some stuff on, some unbelievably talented women in metal. And Doomsday Machine was the first thing I went to by Arch Enemy.
Yeah.
Now, my eldest, Chloe, she's actually just been in the room a minute ago. She just walked through. She was out there with us at the time, and she could not fucking believe that was a man singing. Like, she was genuinely shocked. And,
you mean a woman?
A woman singing, sorry. Yeah, she was genuinely
I was going to say, that didn't make your point at all.
No, that literally destroys the point, doesn't it? But, no, she was genuinely shocked. But all that massive runaround to get to the point I was trying to make is that this week I'm going to be listening to a lot of Arch Enemy, I think. I don't know why. Okay. Just last night put it in my head.
Like the oldest stuff for sure.
Doomsday Machine is always my go-to Arch Enemy record.
First three albums, I would say, like the ones that I'm like, you know, bang on with.
What was the first record called?
Black
Earth. Is that the first one?
Come on, man, you're asking me questions.
The ones that stand out to me are always Doomsday Machine and Wages of Sin. But I don't even know.
What's the red one? The Root of All Evil. I like that one. But there was albums before that.
I don't know that one. The Root of All Evil.
Discography.
Is that like quite an early one?
2009.
Oh, so that's after Doomsday Machine then. Yeah. That's like 2004, I think.
Oh man, so 96 is like the first one, but
is that Black Earth?
Yeah,
I
that's
think
Black
that's
Earth.
the first one. Yeah. So when did Angela Gosso?
Wages of Sin as well. Yeah. Oh,
those
quite late on.
Those are the two that I always kind of go to: a Doomsday Machine and Wages of Sin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a jam.
There's one called I think it's the one after Doomsday Machine. Is it Way of the Tyrant? Something like that's pretty good. I think it's called Way of the Tyrant or Voice of the Tyrant. It might be, but that's a good one.
Timeline of band members, vocals. So originally, obviously, there was a dude.
He's not on the first record though, is he? Black Earth is Angela Gosso, isn't it?
No, Black Earth is.
Is that dude?
He's live and the recorder, so presumably.
Oh right.
And I think he was the bassist as well, from the look of this. Johan Lilver. Yeah.
It's Michael Amott is the guitarist, is that right?
Where are you? Yeah.
And
he's always been the guitarist.
Yeah, but isn't his brother in the band as well? Is there another Amott?
Christopher Amott was.
Yeah, he's also guitar.
He's been dipping in and out though.
Yeah, he's an incredible guitar. He doesn't get because Michael Amott's the focus being like the lead man, big widdly shredder dude. But the other Amott, did you say Christopher?
Mm-hmm.
He's fucking exceptionally tight. Like that dude doesn't get the credit he deserves at all.
Do you know a band that I listened to when I first started getting into Arch Enemy as well was they have an album called Wishmaster. Hang on,
Wishmaster. I don't know.
Album. Nightwish they're called.
Nightwish, yeah, they're kind of operatic.
Like operatic, yeah. I got really into them. I listened to the one album, Wishmaster album, and then everything else they've ever done, I've been like, I hate this, and I don't know why.
The Metal Hammer podcast tells me that their last, is it an EP or a full record, or it might even be a single, but it's leading up to the new record or whatever. But apparently their new work is just fucking phenomenal. They're not a band I'm massively into, so it's not something I paid any attention to. But since you bring them up, they talked a lot about them on a Metal Hammer podcast about a month ago.
I always like them more than like bands that are similar to them because there's a few bands that popped up around the same time. You know when Evanescence started getting big?
I was just going to say Evanescence are about the only band I could compare them with.
They're not really. Well, that's the thing.
Nothing like it.
Vocally, you can compare it, but it's not really anything like it. But there was a lot of bands that around that time, because obviously you've got Amy Lee's vocals are quite operatic, and it became a thing to. At least it became a more prominent thing in the metal scene that like people were gravitating towards that vocal style.
Yeah.
And then stuff like Nightwish that's got the whole, it's almost like battle metal with
like completely
opera vocals over the top.
That's the thing. Evanescence is almost, God, I hate to say, it's pop, really.
Yeah, it's new metal, very soft new metal.
Yeah, but Amy Lee's got this incredible vocal range and voice, and her delivery is excellent, and she's just got this fantastic voice. But what she does isn't operatic. Like, what's the fucking woman's name from Nightwish? It's not Scabbia, is it? She's Lacuna Coil, and Christine Scabbia, because they were another band that like fucking hell, female fronted metal. Let's everyone jump on a bandwagon. But every one of these bands was different. The fact that they had female vocalists was the only thing they had in common.
The one, the vocalist that I know best would be that Tarja Turunen lass.
What's she from?
She's Nightwish's singer, but she was the one that was like on the albums that I listened to.
I was like,
but there's Flo Jansen and Annette Olzon. Sorry, my eyes are shit. I wasn't aware drunkenness.
I wasn't aware that they'd changed singers, if I'm honest. But like I say,
yeah, they all do, don't they?
Well, yeah. Speaking of which, Angela Gosso. When did she leave? When did and what's the new singer?
So she joined in 2001. She left in 2014.
But she's still their manager.
Alyssa White Glutz.
That's her, yeah. So who sang on the record from 2014? Is it As the Stages? No, that's a live one. As the Stage. Let me look through this. War Eternal was 2014. Was that Gosso's last or the new frontwoman's first? I remember that being a good record too.
So Glosso released a statement announcing departure from the group. and welcoming her
She's still their
replacement.
manager, I believe.
So, yeah, I presume that it's. Hang on, let's actually click on the fucking album and go.
Well,
to
the only
wiki.
reason I ask is because, as I say, my go-to Arch Enemy records are always Doomsday Machine and Wages of Sin. And this week, I'm going to be listening some Arch Enemy, but I'm not overly familiar with anything they did
the
with
new
the new one.
vocalist was the singer.
Right, so that to me, that's War Eternal. That's where I'm going to pick up then this week. I'm going to start listening to that onwards because I'm not overly familiar with her work.
No, I remember when she joined him, I was like, oh yeah, she's quite pretty. But other than that, I didn't really have an opinion. I always thought, brain, come on, brain. I always thought that
Phil's so sorry. My wife Rach has just come for a cig. She's sitting down. And I'm just telling her what you're doing now. Phil's so hungover today that he can't remember anything to the point where every time a band or a record or whatever comes up, he's like, he just doesn't know the answer.
Angela Gossow. I always thought she was almost pretty, but not quite, if you know what I mean. She's got that kind of like, I'd be afraid
She's
of
very
stamping on my neck.
Scandinavian. Yeah, she's very Scandinavian. She's very Viking looking. Yeah.
Some guys
they
into
pissed
that.
a lot of people up. They pissed a lot of people off. Sorry. It pissed a lot of people up. That's what we did last night.
Yeah.
They pissed a lot of people off last year with some photo of the band. The photographer that took the photo used it, and they sued him, even though he was the one who took the photo, or something like that. Can't remember. But Angela Gossow made a lot of enemies as their manager because she just ardently would not fucking back down and defended the band. That's it. They said that because he'd used the photo without their permission, even though it's his photo, he took it. He's never allowed to an Arch Enemy show again. And he's like,
probably like, cool, man.
Well, no, because he was a fan, but he was their friend. He was at shows all the time.
No, well, I'd be, if somebody was saying to me, like, if in the same situation, say, Periphery had done the same to me, I'd be like, I will not come to your shows anymore. Then don't be a dick.
Innit? Fuck you. But
they haven't said that, and I love them to bits, so it's cool.
Innit? So that's Arch Enemy. So I guess it's probably time. We've been recording now for just over an hour, and I'm pretty sure Wayne might be asleep.
No, I'm all right, me.
So let's move on. The focus of today's show, since Wayne is with us, as I said earlier, he sent us some songs, and we're going to talk about Wayne's top 5 metal picks and a wild card that fucking just awesome. But so give us some background, Wayne. What's your background in metal, as you described it to me when you had this idea?
So I'm quite new to metal, to be honest. Obviously, like I said before, because I've DJed for so long, I've heard so much music and different genres and all this. But metal's not really one that I've really clicked on with. Because obviously these days, a lot of pubs and stuff that you don't really play a lot of metal stuff, not like local pubs.
Yeah.
And so you don't really get to play unless it's like commercialized heavy rock metal stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I'm pretty new to it all. And then I've got a mate of mine who I've known for 27 years who's right into his metal. So I've heard spatterings when I've been at his house and stuff like that, and he's always
kept the door locked when he's doing his spatterings.
Yeah.
When he says he's going for a shit.
But when we were kids, it were a case of he used to listen to a lot of Iron Maiden and stuff like that. So there is memories from like when we used to go camping, and we used to go camping with his dad, and his dad used to have this old beat up blue transit van with a tape deck in it. You know what I mean?
Was he a nonce?
He used to do all car boots, so he used to get it back at van, and you were going like 2-hour journey with a load of bloody sofas and all this kind of stuff.
Are you sure he was doing car boots, or was he a nonce? Because what you're telling me is, as a kid, your mate's dad put you in the back of a van and drove you 2 hours out of town.
I wondered why he had that big netty back, like, you know what I mean?
Did you ever find yourself
Hello,
with kids?
kids, I have a piece of lollipop.
Were you ever in the back of the van with other kids that you'd never met that were very scared?
No.
Did he ever stop on the way to get other kids?
They all had a bag of spice, to be honest. So. Yeah, they
Kids
all had a big bag of sweets.
Do anything
Spice is not the same as it is nowadays, listeners. Spice back in the day is kiddie sweets.
Yeah.
Whereas now, of course, it's
yeah, because I say that, you know, and people look at me daft. Yeah, I say that quite a lot because it's quite a Yorkshire thing for me.
So
bag of spice. And when I say that, people look at me like I'm some kind of dealer. Whoa, hang on. I mean, Haribo's. That's what I'm after. That's what I'm on about.
Not bath salts.
So I'm quite new to all this metal palaver.
What was your musical upbringing like? Like, what were you folks into? What did they expose you to?
So now you see, I tried to keep away from what my mum and dad were into.
S&M.
Well, my mum liked Cliff Richards for one. And my dad, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And my dad liked Daniel O'Donnell. So we're like, yeah, keep away from that.
Daniel O'Donnell and Cliff Richard.
Yeah.
Sweet Jesus.
I kept away from that. The what do you call it? Were you know, he liked a bit of Elvis. He listened to a bit of Elvis, did my dad and stuff. But
can't fucking mess with the king, can you?
No. So I grew up mainly.
What's your number one Elvis track?
My number one Elvis track. It's got to be American Trilogy.
Oh man, I can't, man. Fucking hell. When I used to, so Dave's aware of my hatred of karaoke. When I was DJing, it was like my least favorite part of the evening was when the fucking people go up and start singing.
Some drunk.
Right. Personally, my opinion on karaoke is that the only person that wants to hear your karaoke is you and possibly 3 of your friends, not the rest of the 50 people in the pub. They're waiting for their mate to get up, and they're gonna have a good time for 3 minutes while you're singing your song. But everyone else is like, "Fuck me, cut my fucking ears off." And American Trilogy is. I mean, they're not even Elvis songs. They're fucking show tunes. And I'm like, Jesus, why do people gravitate to this? It kills me.
Sweet Caroline were the one that I used to hate.
Oh, man.
Anyone got that? It was like...
me and you should get together.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm not massively knowledgeable where Elvis is concerned, if I'm honest, because it's not been something that I was ever... You know, everyone knows Elvis.
Yeah.
But for me,
it's all right to like the classics, man. Jailhouse.
Well, this is the thing. I'm a big Heartbreak Hotel fan. I think that song is just fucking. It sums up that entire era the way it is in my mind. You know what I mean? Obviously, I wasn't there. I'm not old enough, but to me, that song sums up what music was doing at that time. I think Heartbreak Hotel's a fucking great song. So carry on, Wayne. I totally just fucking interrupted.
My music growing up wasn't great, to be honest. I didn't have right good influences, you know. Cliff Richards and Daniel O'Donnell were like, you know. So, but yeah, as I came on and started doing DJing and stuff from like 18, it was just a massive mix of everything then. And I went to a stage where I liked dance music and
everybody does at some point.
Yeah, you know, and all that like cheesy pop and bit of cha-cha slide and all that, you know.
Slide to the left.
But other than that, I didn't really. I would listen to anything. I'd give anything a go and listen to a bit of hope, you know. And when I started the radio and we did all the unsigned stuff, we were literally getting everything from death metal to urban folk to it were just.
Did you say urban folk?
Urban folk music, yeah.
Is that a thing? Like hip hop mixed with folk?
Yeah, oh yes.
I can't even begin to imagine what that'd sound like.
I'm gonna have to Google it, man.
Have a Google of urban folk. But yeah, there's not very many out there, but it is out there.
There's an urban folk quartet here.
Yeah.
I'm going to be listening to me some of that in a bit. I've got to find out what the fuck that's like. That's insane.
Yeah, urban folk. We had a bit of everything. We had some. We used to have a lot of grime when that started becoming quite popular. What they didn't understand was we couldn't play any covers. It was all. It was all
Yeah,
stuff like
that had its moment, didn't it? Where I mean, I'm sure it's still a big scene on the underground, but it had a moment where it was in the main like focus of the public for a bit.
going on now. It's still there. The only issue, what people were doing is they were sending like rapping and all that kind of stuff over the Titanic theme tune. And it was just, yeah. Somewhere in my back catalogue of unsigned stuff, I've got a track that was emailed to me to play on the radio. And it was a massive, like, he really wanted to become a really big star and all this kind of stuff. And he did a freestyle rap over My Heart Will Go On.
That's
so, yeah.
I like music, right? I'm a massive music lover of many genres. I'm a musician myself. I'm educated in the subject. I'm sure that could have sounded good if it's done right, and I'm sure this kid was talented. But it's so out of my realm of knowledge, I can't even begin to understand. I've just seen Phil's picture. I can't even begin to understand how that would sound.
I know it won't great. So obviously, getting a lot of that kind of music and seeing what we're out there, I listen to a bit of everything. And then getting into, the metal were quite it was a weird thing for me. It was just one day listening, because I used to spend, as you know, editing and still do, doing social media and YouTube and stuff. I spend days down at the studio just doing bits like that, just listening to tunes.
Yeah.
And there's a playlist on Amazon. Now, it gets updated all the time, but and it's called Power Metal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so Power Metal. Yeah, we're going to come on to that with your choices.
Yeah, so I just put that on. And then obviously, because you start listening to one playlist, it starts suggesting playlists to you. So there were loads of different stuff coming up there. Metal and rock of like the 2000s. And so I just started listening to that kind of stuff and really got into it.
So is power metal for you like kind of a go-to subgenre for you?
Yeah, so power metal seems to be the one that if I'm having one of them days where I just sit there and I think, you know what, I really cannot be arsed today. And there's a lot of days like that, especially now with all this palaver that's going on.
When every day is the same.
When every day is the same, I, sit there and put a power metal playlist on and off I go.
Yeah,
there's also times where I'll sit there and think, you know what, I'll put a bit of the one of the playlists is top hard rock and metal. And before it starts playing, the first one on this playlist, for example, is Blue on Black, 5 Finger Death Punch.
Right.
So it goes from that to then it will go to like Papa Roach and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so it's kind of like the super popular Karangi type stuff then.
Pretty much, yeah.
Karangi is a good way of describing that. That's very Karangi. Yeah. So your first tune that you sent us then, Wayne?
Yeah.
That was a song called Swedish Pagans by Sabaton.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the most power metal song in the world.
No, it's not. They do a lot more.
Can anyone hear that in the background?
I can't, but I've heard it.
So I'm thinking if the mic does pick it up, it'll be quiet enough that fair
use. Oh wait, I can.
Anyway.
So it's not the most powerful one. It's not the most power metal one they do.
This is from a record called The Art of War from 2010. Now, Sabaton, for anyone that isn't aware, they're not They are a power metal band. They're
Yeah.
German, I think. Sabaton.
Swedish.
Oh, they are actually Swedish, are they?
Yeah.
So their name was thrown around a hell of a lot, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I don't know if they had like a big release at the time that propelled them, but I personally, being a metalhead, was aware of the name before that, but I couldn't have told you a single song. 2 or 3 years ago, they were fucking unavoidable. And I don't know, because I'm not into the power metal thing, I don't know what it was that put them at the forefront like that. But I'm
Wacken.
assuming there was a... Oh, did they do a big Wacken show and that?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Now, you saw these dudes at Bloodstock, didn't you?
I did, and it's one of the reasons why I went to Bloodstock. These and the next, it's either the next song in my top 5. Both bands were playing at Bloodstock. It's one of the reasons why I went. Because I mean, Swedish Pagans is an old song. It's, this band's been going
as
since
I say, that was from
99.
2010.
Yeah, so these have been going since 99 of the band.
Yeah.
So it's quite an old song, but they still play it in every set because it's, for them, it's such a popular song. Everyone sings along with the chorus and all that kind of stuff. So it's one of the reasons why I went, and they put on an absolute stonking show. They've got a big tank in the middle of the stage. The drummer plays drums on top of this tank. Halfway through set, it all starts blasting and fireworks start coming out and all that kind of stuff,
Well,
so...
do you know, it's weird you should mention that. On the download cast, they were talking to the guys from Ailstorm, and Ailstorm were talking about when they toured with Sabaton, and obviously they come on with the tank, and they were like, "Oh, we need something," and that's where the duck came from for Ailstorm, because they've got this like progressively larger blow up duck that they bring with us. With them, sorry.
So where Sabaton are power metal, Ailstorm are more pirate metal, if that's
well, yeah, it's all kind of that revolving around that sound, though, isn't it? Like battle metal. It's like all kind of like an update of Manowar type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when you say battle metal, that's a term I'm not familiar with, but I'm assuming that's just like another subgenre specifically of power metal.
It's kind of like anything that's like, I mean, all Ailstorm seem to sing about is kind of stealing shit and drinking, but it's that whole thing like
on the seven seas.
Yeah, we're going to battle, we're going to fuck some shit up, and here's my sword, and there's the enemy, and that's kind of the focus.
I nearly spat beer all over my laptop then.
And that's the same with Sabaton, because Sabaton, all their songs are all round World War One. So,
really?
Yeah. So all their songs.
The sound, because power metal generally, it's all like swords and slaying dragons and bullshit like that. And they've got this sound that because I'll be honest, I didn't like pay much attention to the lyrics. I listened to the song a few times, and I'm familiar with Sabaton enough to kind of, I knew what I was getting. Yeah. So I didn't really pay any attention to the lyrics. Maybe I should have. I wasn't aware that it was a World War I thing, because the sound alone puts the standard, to me at least, someone who's not massively into power metal, it puts an image of power metal in my head. The sound of the music and whatnot. So I would have never guessed it was like a World War I theme that they were doing. I would have thought swords and dragons and bullshit.
Yeah, World War I, World War II, in some of the cases, and other historical conflicts and battles, but it's mainly all about battles, big battles, and all that kind of stuff. And their newest album that came out in 2019, Great War, it's a belting album. And again, there's a lot more power metal stuff on there. But Swedish Pagans were always one that came out that stood out to me. And it were always one of them songs where it were a bit of a feel-good thing. You could sit there and sing along to it and all that. And to watch them play it live and have all the crowd shouting and bawling. And
it's always good when like half of the show, when you go into a gig, half of it is how the crowd reacts. If it's a poor reaction, if it's a quiet crowd, it's no fun.
I mean, the thing is, they were doing that. The crowd was singing the chorus bit right at the beginning of the show. They hadn't even they'd just gone on stage, started playing a song. As soon as they finished and start to talk to the audience, all the crowd start singing Swedish Pagans.
And is that like their biggest, literally biggest hit?
No.
They're after us. They're coming to get us.
I hope they're here.
Yeah, man, it's here. It's my house.
Do you live in the ghetto, Phil?
No, it's just the fucking Leeds lullaby, innit?
Mm. You're close enough to the city that you're going to hear all that shit, aren't you?
Well, yeah. Well, the police station's on Ellen Road, so all the police are up this way anyway.
Yeah, man. I'm out in the fucking burbs, like properly quiet little village. I can't hear a thing. Like, honestly, if I stepped out my door now, it would just be deathly silent. Not a bad way to be.
Yeah.
So, do you know where the name Sabaton comes from?
So, no, to answer your question.
I just looked it up because you were talking about the war thing, and I thought I've seen Sabaton with the tank and stuff that you mentioned.
Yeah.
But I'd never realised that they were not. Which I guess it's my own stupidity. If it's all swords and dragons and castles and whatnot, you're not going to have a
Why
tank
is there going to be a tank on stage?
You know what I mean? So I really should have thought that through. But Sabaton itself actually is like a medieval reference. It refers to a knight's foot armor, which is
the pointy toe things.
Dude, I'm on Wiki. It literally just says a knight's foot armor. I ain't got fucking clue. But yeah, I mean, power metal. What do you think of power metal, Phil? What's your like?
I like quite a lot of it. I mean, I used to listen to a lot of like Halloween and stuff like that. Anyway, and there's like Iced Earth. They just sound like sped up Iron Maiden.
Iced Earth, I do quite like.
I'm quite a fan of Dragon Force and stuff like that. Anyway,
yeah,
just I think it was always the guitar work that always kind of like drew me to them. I'm just like, what the fuck.
The vocal delivery in power metal puts me off. It really
sometimes does. I forget his name, the South African dude from Dragon Force that ain't in him anymore.
Oh, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, the singer anyway. I forget his name. But I always liked his voice. But I was watching. It might have been on the download performances. Actually, I was watching them doing something live then, and it was a different vocalist. Obviously, the newer guy, and I don't know. I don't dig it as much. For some reason, I don't know what it was, but
I just always feel like it's musically, I'm not massively into it, but I can appreciate what's happening, and there's often a lot of very technically melodic guitar work going on.
It's always the guitars, yeah.
And the drums are always kind of like as well.
The drums are always kind of like straightforward, speedy kind of stuff going on. There's not like a really tongue going on there.
There's always like an element of synth in there, or keys in there as well, that I think is
you have a bit of a thing about that, don't you?
No,
like you're not a big fan of the synth.
I appreciate the synth, and it has a place. I'm not sure how much I think it has a place in rock and metal. Like, I'm never a big fan of when it's infused into that. I don't know.
I think it's just kind of an extension of, like, back in the day, you used to get rock bands that didn't have guitarists, that have organ players instead.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm a big Yes fan, and the stuff Rick Wakeman did in Yes and John Lord in Deep Purple and stuff, that had a massive addition to the sound. And I've got nothing against synth. It's a nice sounding instrument. Piano and organ or synth, just generally keyed instruments, sound good. I'm not sure how much they gel with metal itself. When the harder metal is, the less a synth is necessary.
I guess to a degree. But I mean, I quite like it as a droning instrument.
I do like the droning notes. Yeah, and to me, power metal is one where I'd say it's an exception because it adds to the music, and it's always to me, it's always got to be whether it adds to the music.
It's like that whole theatrical thing again. I think
100%. Like, if it's a situation where they have a synth player, so they're putting synth in songs, but it's not adding to the music. Like, Carnifex is kind of my go-to when I'm talking about that. Carn effects don't sound better to my ear. It's just an opinion. To my ear, Carn effects don't sound better for having a synth. And if I'm honest, I think they would actually sound better if they didn't have the synth in. That's just my opinion. Whereas when you're talking about Dream Theater, you know, the synth is a massive part of what they're doing, and if you took it away, they'd lose an element of their power. So it's definitely necessary there. In power metal, I would say that keys and synth are a very important element, musical element to the makeup of any of that genre. So I think power metal is an exception in metal as a kind of umbrella term where the keys are definitely necessary.
Yeah.
But in terms of it's the vocals, not the keys, man. It's the vocals in power metal that put me off. Speaking of Dream Theater, James Labrie from Dream Theater, his voice would suit power metal perfectly. But his voice doesn't do anything for me. That's why I have trouble with Dream Theater, is his voice. That's why I like Liquid Tension Experiment, because it's just the Dream Theater musicians. Do you know what I mean? It's so power metal, to me, the most off-putting part is the vocals, not the synth. It's power metal vocals, just fucking. It's exactly as you say. It's that theatric delivery that is exactly the reason a lot of people, you know, it appeals to a lot of people. That's a huge part of why they're into it. To me, it has exactly the opposite reaction. But that's just. I'm not saying it's bad. It just personally doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, man. Everyone got their own opinion. Everyone's kind of you can't really. I mean, I suppose to a degree you can choose what floats your boat, but you likes what you likes.
Exactly. And to my obviously, Wayne, you're saying the power metal thing does appeal to you, and I assume the vocal delivery is part of that whole package.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the rhythm's a big thing as well. I'm quite a big lover of finding a song that's got it's got to have a good catchy. If it's just earlier on when you were talking like just a load of noise and stuff. Now I'm not saying all bands are like that at all, but there is some music I listen to and I think I just really can't get into this.
There's a lot of metal that's so abrasive you'd think they don't want an audience.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of metal that to the casual listener is abrasive, but to the metal listener, someone who's familiar with a lot of metal bands, it's not abrasive at all because they're familiar with more abrasive metal bands. And I think the deeper you get into metal, the more you find. Power metal is a genre that I've never really explored. I'm so on the surface of it, I couldn't name more than 3 or 4 power metal bands because it's not something that appeals to me. But if you're into it, I would imagine that vocal delivery that I don't like and that clean production and whatnot is part of the package that you do like if you're into that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, who are some other power metal bands? You know, you Wayne, I would guarantee know more about this than I do, without a doubt.
It's a strange one because, like I said, I'm quite funny with what I listen to, and if it doesn't stand out for me, I'm not really bothered. I'm a Fall is one that I've listened to in the past.
You've mentioned them before, Phil. Hammerfall.
Yeah, I think so. I think I was going to suggest we listen to some of their stuff for one of the.
Are they a power
weeks.
metal band?
Yes,
so. Yeah. It's like battly metal stuff, I think.
I'm not overly. I mean, I know the name, but they're not a band I have any experience of. I wasn't aware they were a power metal band.
Yeah, Avantasia, I've listened to them as well.
Well, I've never heard of them. Avantasia.
Yeah,
that's a very power metal name.
So yeah, I've listened to them. Dragon Force, obviously, I've listened to as well.
They're probably the most power metal I'm familiar with. I've seen Dragon Force play twice, supporting different people, and you know Herman Lee as a guitarist. Herman Lee's a big name. If you play guitar, you know who Herman Lee is. And the crazy stunts he pulls, like where he quote unquote played underwater, which he totally didn't fucking do. It was bullshit. He didn't at all. because he was underwater. They insulated his guitar against water so he could play underwater in theory. And then he went underwater and held the guitar out of the water and soloed.
Well, how are
And
the
it's like,
strings going to resonate if they're in water at all?
fucked if I know. It would sound weird as fuck.
It
But
wouldn't do anything. It'd like, because as soon as you hit a string, it's going to be dead again, isn't it?
yeah, you'd think so. But the idea was that it was touted as being, yeah, Herman Lee's going to play underwater. And all. No, he's not, is he? He's not. It was bollocks. But yeah, so power metal, Sabaton. Tell us again, Wayne, what's that track's called? Swedish
Pagans.
Swedish Pagans from the album The Art of War from 2010. If you're into power metal in any way, Wayne, I assume, would recommend that's one that people check out.
Yeah, definitely, and the new one as well. Their new
Great
album, The Great War,
which was released on July 19th, 2019. See,
Yeah,
I've been looking this up. I've been looking this show.
Hey, but you see, this is weird because now you've just said power metal bands. I've just literally put power metal bands into Google, and there is some power metal bands that I didn't realize went under that genre.
Who is
quite a big umbrella?
Yeah,
it is,
so
yeah.
Like I'll just go through a couple of.
I've heard Dark
one.
Throne called power metal, and I don't get that at all because to me, Dark Throne just fucking epitomised black metal.
I guess there'll be like a few songs maybe that kind of flit into that genre, so like they can come under that banner. But
I'd love to hear Dark Throne sing in a power metal way. Because to me, the vocals of power metal, as I was saying, it doesn't appeal to me, but that's a massive part of power metal is the vocal delivery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just as the vocal delivery in black metal is a huge part of being black metal, I just can't see Dark Throne crossing over into musically maybe because with the synth aspect and stuff. But I would never have myself thought to call Dark Throne power metal, but I've heard people do it, and that just shows how little I know about power metal, I suppose.
Well, Judas Priest has come up on my list.
What?
See, they're British wave of new heavy metal, but I get where they're coming from. Like the more modern stuff, like Painkiller and stuff like that. That's all kind of like, I guess you could, because when they like started as like new wave, it was like a completely different sound to the more modern stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, even Priest have actually done a lot of different styles of metal in their career, but when you look at all that leather and the theatrics, I guess that has a power element to it.
Yeah, man. And like I said, the newer stuff is like albums worth of that kind of genre.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like Living After Midnight, not so much. I'm not even sure that'd be heavy metal, but
it's cleally an umbrella term that I don't know much about. I'm not qualified to say what is and what isn't, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Queensryche and Manowar, they're another two bands that's on there that I have listened to.
Yeah, Manowar, I would definitely agree.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know about Queensryche. I'd call them kind of industrial.
Yeah, I don't know. I could never peg them because, like Jet City Woman and stuff like that. I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't really even know where I would put that. It's like heavy rock, even.
Yeah, I mean, they're metal in aesthetic rather than sound, I think.
Yeah,
but I guess I can kind of see why people would put them in the power umbrella. I wouldn't personally, but I think I can understand. But as I say, my understanding of what is and isn't power metal is obviously fucking way off center because it's not something that I know about, you know. So what's next, Wayne? What was the number 2? I don't know if we're looking at these in the right order, but in the order you gave them to me,
yeah.
I've got Run to the Hills next.
So Run to the Hills, Iron Maiden is a massive thing. It brings back a lot of memories. Not just Run to the Hills. Run to the Hills is a song that I love. I think great. But Iron Maiden in general, the older stuff, I'm not so fond so much of the newer stuff that they brought out. But you know, Run to the Hills were definitely a one for me.
Well, that of course is from Number of the Beast.
Yes.
From I think 82, and it is without doubt a seminal Maiden record.
It's Bruce's first record, isn't it?
It is indeed, and it's just full of fucking stone cold Maiden classics.
Yeah.
And it actually has. It's not my favorite Maiden record. My favorite Maiden record is Power Slave, which I think was the one that followed it. My favorite record being Power Slave. My actual favorite. That's because of the flow of the songs on it. It's got a great opener. It's got a great flow. It's got a great closer. Being Aces High and Rime of the Ancient Mariner, respectively.
Peace of Mind after Number of the Beast. Power Slaves after that one. Yeah, 84.
Oh, okay.
Like every year they'll release it. 80, 81, 82, 83, 84,
Jesus,
up until 84, and then 86. That's the work ethic, and then it's every 2 years.
That's fucking hard work. But I mean, look at where it got them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, I picked that, but Can I Play with Madness were another very close.
I love that. Dave, you're not such a big fan, are you? You don't like that the cheesy Maiden.
Yeah, that's the thing. I like Maiden when they were like my favorite. You know, I said I gravitate towards the darker stuff. I think that's obvious in my favorite Maiden song is "Hallowed Be Thy Name." I think that's the best song they ever wrote. They've never done better in my mind. That song is dark, but it flows perfectly. It's like 7.5 minutes long, and it's from start to finish. There is not 1 second in it where you're bored. It builds all the way through, but it's at the same time, it's got every element of a classic Maiden tune. Dickinson's vocal performance, where he's holding that note, is just insane. It's got all the harmony riffs. It's got everything a Maiden song should have, but at the same time, it's very dark and slow at the beginning, you know. So I naturally gravitate towards that.
Weird piece of trivia. Number of the Beast was the last Iron Maiden album to come out on 8-track.
Is that right?
Yeah. Nice.
1982.
It was 82, was it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the Maiden stuff I like is quite commercialized Maiden stuff.
I agree. I'm a big fan of it all. I'm with you, man.
If I want a song to like proper sing along to, put on while I'm making me tea or something like that, Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter's probably one.
Yeah, that is a classic. Yeah, 2 minutes to midnight.
Yeah, 2 minutes to midnight, definitely.
Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter was Christmas #1 as well.
It was?
Yeah.
What, that'd have been 81?
Was it that early?
I'm pretty sure it's not Dickinson, is it? Bring Your Daughter?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. If it's Dickinson, then yeah, maybe it is. I thought it wasn't. I thought it was Paul Di'Anno.
No, it's definitely.
Oh, if that's a Dickinson track, then fair enough. Yeah, I wouldn't know.
It's Brucey.
Yeah, Bruce.
Well, in that case, it's got to be off Peace of Mind then, surely.
It were released twice. 1980.
Well, that's Paul Di'Anno. Then.
Oh, hang on. No, maybe not. That's got to be wrong. That.
I thought it was Killers.
It's not at all. It's Bruce Dickinson, so it can't be. I know it is.
It's Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter is the second single from the 1990 Iron Maiden album, No Prayer for Dying.
That late.
Fuck off. 1990?
That's what it says here.
Shit the bed.
Yeah, man. 1990, Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter, Christmas #1.
Well, fuck me. I never would have.
I thought it was earlier than that.
No, I didn't know when it was.
I just Googled Bring Your Daughter, and the top result, I clicked on it without reading it.
Can you bring your daughter to an orgy?
Take your daughter and son to work. And I clicked on that without even reading it. I just went to the top result.
So it was the soundtrack for Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
I don't even remember it being in it. And the only Nightmare on Elm Street song is 3 Dream Warriors that I remember.
Fucking right,
Dio.
Dream Warriors.
Not Dio, fucking Dokken.
Fucking Dream Warriors. That's a great film.
Have a dream warrior.
Which is number 5? Number 5 is the one where it's like Freddie's daughter or something daft, isn't it? Dream Baby or
the Dream Child.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, the Dream Child. So yeah, it was recorded and released by Bruce Dickinson for the soundtrack of Nightmare on Elm Street.
I would never in a million years have guessed it was that late.
And they weren't even going to release it, you know. Steve Harris liked it so much that Iron Maiden recorded it, and it got to number 1. Got to Christmas number 1, but there wasn't gonna.
Did.
Yeah, it's belting. But yeah, it's songs like that are great. I love just like putting out like that on, and something that I can.
Sorry, man.
No, it's all right.
I was just going to say, because you said you mentioned that you like the commercial Maiden and
Yeah.
stuff, the lighter hearted Maiden. I bet you like Wasted Years.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
man.
It's poppy for a reason. Popular
yeah, man,
music
without
is
it.
popular for a reason.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not knocking it. Wasted Years is I'm so undecided on it. Like one day I'll say it's like, no, that and Can I Play With Madness are both just my least favourite. And then the next day it's like, all I want to listen to is Wasted Years. It's pop music does that for me. Sometimes I just can't, like, with it's too on the nose in terms of its appeal. But then the next day I am part of that crowd where I want it to be right on the nose, because it's like you say, that's what pop music is. It's popular for a reason. But Wasted Years is a divisive track for me. But Run to the Hills, Wayne.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
You see, it were one of them. Again, it's got a lot of memories, as in a case of sitting there round a campfire playing that kind of stuff, knowing for a fact that everyone else around us, bar me and my mate, hated that kind of music. And when I were at Bloodstock last year, there were a tent just a bit further back there. They had a massive big ghetto blaster job, 12 o'clock at night, just blurting all the tunes out. And we had a bit of a laugh, to be honest, because they would play stuff like System of the Down and Iron Maiden and all that, and then all of a sudden Britney Spears would pop on. You know, or YMCA were another one that popped on halfway through. So
I'm so pissed off I missed the fucking Village People.
Yeah, man. Phil was telling us last night at or was it on the last podcast?
Might have been the last podcast.
I don't remember. So Riot Fest, when Phil was there last year, Village People played, and it was last podcast, because you were talking about the next year's lineup for Riot Fest in Chicago, and you said they always have like a wild card kind of unannounced.
They have a few wild card bands,
and it was
like the B-52s as well.
Yeah, but you missed the Village People. And, man, I'd love to see that shit live.
Yeah, the Village People. But yeah, and they played Run to the Hills. It was on there, and I was sat around campfire, but it were a little bit different because we were all sat there around campsite and having a few drinks, and everyone that we were with all liked metal. So once that came on, everyone were, singing away, nodding their heads. Yeah, we all looked like a bunch of Churchills,
If you're into rock and metal at all, Run to the Hills comes on. Fucking everyone knows nearly every word. You know what I mean? Wayne, since you're with us, can you make a note of the time? Because I'm gagging for a leak, so I'm going to nick for a piss. Can you make an editing note? And we'll carry on.
Do you know what time we started recording, Phil?
Yeah, it was at... Hang on, just scroll past the porn. It was 21:12.
21:12. So that's 2 hours then. Well, just an hour and 50 minutes.
49 minutes, yeah. Hour and 49 minutes. Dave goes for a wee.
Dave fucks off.
It won't be so bad. My toilet is literally in the next room. He has to go upstairs and all sorts of shit.
Well, where my man cave is, I have to literally go up 2 flights of steps to get to my toilet.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he does as well. I think if he's down, no, actually, he records in the in his dining room now, I think, because he used to record down in the dungeon and he used to cut out all the time. But when he was down there, it was 2 floors up to his toilet.
Yeah, it's a fucking bit of a nightmare, to be honest.
Yeah, man. So I am just in the room with, the cat's room. Let's call it the cat's room. Let's give it its official title, because the cat lives in here and nobody else comes in apart from me, really.
I've just been, wife went to pick up a kitten this morning for our neighbours across the road. My brother's cat had 15 kittens.
Oh, fucking hell.
So one of the So the woman across the road, they've got like I think they've got 4 cats anyway. And then they have 2 cats that just come along. They're not even theirs, but they come along and get fed. And then they wanted a new cat, so they've got one of these little kittens. It's a Bombay Tux or something. So
I don't know. I think I've heard the name, but I couldn't tell you what it looks like.
Bombays are like they're bred like panthers.
All right.
So yeah,
I quite like those Bengal ones, the ones that look like they're kind of this. I don't know. They call them Bengals, but in my head, a Bengal is a tiger, and I think they look like tigers, but they don't. They look like a leopard or a jaguar or something, like a little jaguar.
Yeah,
definitely. A jaguar.
I'd love a tiger the size of a house cat.
Yeah, man.
That'd be mint.
They do these cats called servals, and I can't remember. So is serval the? Yeah, serval's the original kind of cat. But then you can get these the house cat versions, and it's essentially a serval that's crossbred with a house cat. And if it's an A1, it's one descendant from a wild serval, and then you get A2s and further on, and
they look different. Like the higher the number gets.
The higher the number gets, the more different they look. But these are cats that are the size of about a Labrador and can jump about 7 foot in the air. So people have got these.
Shit, people keep as a pet.
Yeah, man.
What the fuck? That's terrifying.
Yeah, I'd love it though, but I mean, my dogs are too small for me to trust them not to get eaten. So, but that is a cool pet, man. I'm pretty sure I saw someone walking around when we were in the Czech Republic. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, was it Prague we went to? Czech Republic or Prague? Prague.
Prague's in the Czech Republic, isn't it?
Is it?
Prague is the capital of the Czech Republic, I believe.
Is that where? Well, in that case, we probably went to both. But yeah, we went on holiday. We went on holiday like a few years ago, and this woman was just walking around with one on a lead in the middle of town.
Fuck me, that would. You see some weird shit when you leave your comfort zone, man.
Yeah, dude.
I'd like an ocelot.
What's an os, and why would you like it so much?
An ocelot. It's so.
You'd like a horse quite a lot.
I've had a horse. I headbutted a horse once.
You shouldn't do that. That's not.
No,
cool.
I didn't. That's not true. I can't back that up. I have no evidence. Yeah, Prague is in the Czech Republic. Yeah. No, an ocelot is like a wild cat it's bigger than a normal cat, but it's smaller than. It's maybe the size of a lynx.
Yeah.
But they look
I know
like
what an ocelot is, but for the benefits of the other people, they're not.
I just think they're cool. And apparently they fucking love fish. Like most cats like fish, but ocelots super dig on fish because in the wild they're not in a place where they normally get fish. But they naturally would like be inclined to eat it. So if you give them a fish, like they'll never eat anything again. That's all they want is fish.
So
sounds a lot like my dad. So what's next, Wayne? We might have to. I'm looking at the time. We're like 2 hours already, and there's 3 songs left.
Well, let's run through these.
We'll run through these bad boys.
So if I've got these in the right order, now this one, Wayne, you are on your own. This is not a band I'm familiar with.
Yeah,
I've listened through this song, and to me, it's power metal again. This is a band called Powerwolf and a song called In the Name of God.
Yeah, I didn't know these until this song.
Not familiar at all.
So they've done quite a lot. Again, they've been going since 2003. German. They are
German, you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, power metal seems to be huge. Like it's a very European music.
Yeah, for sure.
They're very again, these were at Bloodstock last year. And again, that's one of the reasons why I went. And they were really good.
So you weren't exposed via Bloodstock. You went.
No, I'd heard of these before, and I was listening to Powerwolf and Sabaton before I went to Bloodstock.
Right.
But there were a lot of things, other bands that I got introduced to at Bloodstock that I'd not really, like Tesseract and stuff like that. I'd not really heard of them since then. So from before then, but Powerwolf, it were an hard one for me because Powerwolf were one of them. They do one called "Demons Are a Girl's Best Friend," and again, that's a very catchy. It's got a very catchy hook to it, and they're just again one of them bands where all the songs are quite. When you listen to the vocals and stuff, it's quite dark. It's very vampire-esque.
Well, the video it sums up like power metal at its core. This video is. I'm watching it again now, and it's imagine the Crusades. It's all Knights Templar. There's a lot of fire. There's a lot of men with their heads down over the hilt of a sword, and you've got imagery of them just taking on what look like, I assume from the armor, like Turks, like the Ottoman Empire, and it looks to me like it's taken from a film. Like, was this a song? Was it part of a soundtrack or something?
I think it was part of some kind of film. I don't think it was a very popular film.
So I just assumed that they just like got a load of stock footage, but then just filmed their bits really well.
Well, this is what I was. If this isn't from a film, the budget for this video must have been fucking massive. It's insane. Do you know what? It is from a film. I've just seen Orlando Bloom. It's from.
I was going to say, does it have fucking Eomer in it as well?
Which one is that?
What's his name? Carl Urban. Isn't he in the video as well?
No. This is from. It's not a Lord of the Rings thing. I've seen Orlando Bloom, but it's
no, it's not Lord of the fucking Rings. It's Knights Templar.
Yeah, what's the name of the film where he plays the French blacksmith who became a knight in the Crusades?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Fuck me, what's it called?
Google it.
It's a Ridley Scott film. It's a Ridley Scott film.
Have you Googled it yet?
Kingdom of Heaven. That's what it's
there
called.
You go.
Kingdom of Heaven.
So let's look
now whether this was from that film or whether they've taken
bits of it will be.
Film. No, I mean whether the song is from the film or whether for the video they've just taken elements of the film to put in the video. Acquired some rights so they can use footage or whatever. But that film sums up what this band sound like.
Yeah, I mean, they come out, when they do live shows, they come out with all the corpse paint on and all that kind of stuff, all whited up.
Corpse paint is a very black metal thing, though, again. They seem to share a lot of elements.
And then it's a lot of their songs are all very Transylvanian werewolf, vampire kind of.
Oh, really? So there is like a supernatural element.
Yeah, and Demons Are a Girl's Best Friend is a massive thing on that. So if you ever listen to that, that's definitely one that brings all that into. And I thought to watch them live, they were brilliant. They were really good. But again, it's one of them that I can just put on and just crack on doing a bit of work and just feel good about it. It's a bit of a beast.
I must admit, I can see where you're coming from in that respect because power metal seems to be quite uplifting.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, when I've got to sit and listen to your podcast for 2.5 hours editing it, I think someone's going to lift me back up after.
Hey, man, just to say, I'm listening to Demons Are a Girl's Best Friend. It's got to 2 minutes odd, and all of a sudden, all these lasses are taking the clothes off. I'm on board.
I am all the way in. Or you wish you were, anyway. So moving on from Powerwolf, again, for anyone listening, if you're not familiar with Powerwolf, I mean, I'm not familiar at all. You should listen to others. Check this out. You don't know if you like it until you hear it, but Powerwolf, the video for that shit. So remind me, Wayne, what was that song called?
The song was called "The Art of War." No, it wasn't. That's
the
In the Name of God.
In the Name of God. Now, the video for that song, there's a lot of scenes from Kingdom of Heaven in it, the Orlando Bloom, the Ridley Scott directed film. If you're familiar with that film about the Crusades, then you can imagine what that sounds like. So it's Balaam, by the way, was the French blacksmith that I was thinking of. He was a real person. Kingdom of Heaven is a bastardized version of his life. It shares no real truth, but
and they've got a keyboardist in their band as well.
yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. And obviously you can hear it, but it's
so he's a fucking nutter.
Is he insane? Is he like
Oh, when they're live, he comes on with a big flag and just starts waving this flag about and gets all. He's a bit of a crowd man, so he gets the crowd going. He's the one that gets them going, gets them singing, and he's definitely an hype man, definitely.
The whole power metal thing to me is summed up in that song. Like that to me is a perfect example of what, in my mind, power metal is. You know. But as I say, I'm completely on the outside here. Power metal's not something that I know loads about. So next, Wayne, you chose
a bit of Soil.
Now this is a fucking stone cold classic, Halo by Soil.
Yeah.
Those drums, man.
And this again, a lot of these songs have got memories attached to them for me from growing up and doing all this stuff. I don't know if any of your listeners are familiar, but I think it's still there. There was a metal club in Dewsbury called the Squash Club.
Squash Club, man. Yeah, I know it well.
So I got banned from the Squash Club.
How do you get banned from anything in Dewsbury?
Well, I got
Squash Club, especially.
well, let me just. I got banned for 3 months. I was told that I couldn't go in for 3 months because I was quite intoxicated.
You?
Yeah. It takes a bit, but yes, I was quite intoxicated.
For anyone who doesn't know him, Wayne is about 8 feet tall. So it takes a lot of ale to get a man of his stature pissed up.
I'd had a good night.
It's not definitely had a good
night. It's not a cheap day. And they used to play this song all the time in there. And I got quite intoxicated and went up and I asked the DJ for Hit Me Baby One More Time. And he said no. So I went back up and asked him for Britney Spears' Toxic. He said no. If you ask for anything stupid like that again, you're getting bad. And I went up and asked him for Living La Vida Loca and got banned for 3 months.
Not a place that they're going to be putting Ricky Martin on.
No, definitely not. But they used to play this all the time, and I had some good. And again, at the time, I wasn't massively into metal or rock, but I used to go down with my mate and have a few. I used to know quite a few people that went in there, so
yeah, man.
I used to have a bit of a do. And this song would just. And again, this is another song that if I'm feeling a bit shit or if I'm doing a bit of cooking or something like that, off I go.
Well, you're well into your wrestling. It's like it's that kind of theme, isn't it?
It's got intro tune written all over it.
Bags of Power.
It's still in regular rotation for me personally. I put it on quite a lot.
It's one of Catherine's favourite bands as well, Soil. We've been to see him a few times.
I'll bet they're really good live.
Yeah.
They play in York a lot. For some reason, York has like a really massive 90s, early 2000s rock and metal following. So anytime there's a tour comes to Britain for any band like this, like Head PE or Soil or anything like that kind of era, it'll go to York and it's sweaty good times.
Slay it.
Yeah, man.
I there's a part in this video. I'm sure it's a video for this because when this song came up in your list, Wayne, I didn't need to listen to it. You know what I mean? Run to the Hills. There was no need for me. It was like, oh, I know that. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's a part in this video where the drummer hits the cymbal and it snaps in half.
I think so.
Yes.
This song,
sure there is. Yeah, I'm sure.
If it's not this, it's Spine Shank. And that to me is like, because that's nearly impossible. You'll knock bits off cymbals, you'll snap sticks, you'll crack cymbals. Snapping one in half like that, it's just not going to happen.
It's poor workmanship.
Yeah, it'd be a really shitty cymbal. And that to me is like visually, that's a new metal thing that sticks in my head. It's like, yeah, look how fucking tough we are, because that's what new metal is all about. It's like, yeah, I'm aggressive and I'm angry, and it's all simple. It's just anger.
It's
At its
football,
most
hype
base
up
level.
music.
Yeah,
That's why
completely.
it's like that.
It's wrestling intro tunes.
In America, this is jock metal. This is the kind of stuff that like jocks listen to.
Yeah, but it's the best version of that.
Yeah, I mean that's it. You were going to say
Sorry.
it's a better version, but it is exactly what they listen to. But this is like the high end of it.
Yeah, because as we're going to move on to soon, there are far worse
Oh yeah, I've just
versions
watched
of jock metal.
the cymbal smash. It's definitely just a plate that's been painted.
Yeah, and it's like I remember that video where he snaps the cymbal, and I remember straight away kind of chuckling to myself on the inside and just thinking, not only is that never going to happen, but to put it in a video that someone thought that would be cool, it would only have happened in nu metal. Like no other genre of music would have thought this will look fucking cool because we're tough, we're big dudes. This is cool. Let's tune down a drop D, and it's like I can't knock it though. I love it.
The bits where they like pull the mic away from the mouth and scream straight into the camera. I'm like, but then they wouldn't be able to hear you, and he does it a lot in this video.
I've still now to this day, whenever I see a music video and people are playing in it, like it's an official video, not like a live video. I still now look for a lead in a guitar.
Yeah,
like to this day, I can't help but do it. Like you're not plugged in. That'd be the first thing. If I was ever recording a music video, I couldn't help but think, well, I've got to have a lead in a guitar. Even if the amp's turned off, I have to have a lead in it.
Either that or the guy who's filming you cannot show you the jack input.
Yeah, don't go that low on me. Don't do a wide shot, because if it looks like I'm not plugged in, I know I'm faking it for the video, but everyone else will know I'm faking it for the video, and it takes you out of the moment. But of course it doesn't. It's just me being a fucking idiot and looking for bullshit that doesn't matter.
It's not unheard of.
In this, what, me being a fucking idiot? Just ask me why.
Looking for things that nobody else gives a shit about.
Yeah, like my penis. But still looking. Haven't found it yet, but you know. Yeah, but this is a stone cold nu metal classic, and it is, when you talk about the frat boy kind of jock metal thing. And that whole idea, the nostalgia that goes with it, Wayne, and you're talking about Squash Club and things like that, that's exactly what it sums up for me as well. Like, Phil, you're obviously familiar. I don't know about you, Wayne, a club in Scarborough called Excess.
Yeah, man.
Their Wednesday.
Or Mansion, as it became.
Yeah, Mansion, and now I believe it's basically a crack den that's boarded
up. Shut down, yeah.
But on a Wednesday night, I think it was their, like, rock night. And
yeah, Wednesday was one of them, yeah.
You could guarantee that this song was on, you know?
Yeah.
Back where I grew up, there was a club called Reflections. And
it was like this and Beautiful People, Marilyn Manson, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. And you could guarantee, right, the first Monday of every month in Reflections in Kettering, they would have a rock night called Kenny's Dead. And you knew that Soil was going, Halo was coming on. It's that, you know, it is.
It's easy to dance to, man. That's what it is. You can bang your head, you can dance to it. It's got an appealing rhythm. Whereas a lot of the stuff I listen to, I'm not listening to because I want to dance to it. I'm listening to it because I like the sound of it. In a club, it doesn't really translate the same. Like, you go, oh yeah, it'd be really good to have this song on. They'll put it on, and you'll be like, and I'm the only person. Empty. Yeah,
atmosphere's gone.
I'm just the only person dancing to this, and I'm not really enjoying it either.
I get that a lot because, like I say, I gravitate towards the dark stuff, and the dark stuff happens to be slower. It's not crowd music. If I'm I haven't been in years in one of them clubs, but if I was and I went and requested, I want Hallowed Be Thy Name on, the floor's been emptied without a doubt. But you put Halo on, and you know you've got fucking everyone in the room moving. And but again, as jock metal, as like frat boy metal goes, this is top of the fucking heap.
Yeah, man.
As wrestling intro music, this is
definitely
perfect. You know?
I think they have actually used it as a like a video package thing, or it's been a pay-per-view theme or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'm sure it has.
That and Bodies, Drowning Pool Bodies.
That's another song I like.
Yeah, man. It's that same kind of sound. It's good stuff. It's like
them, Spine Shank, Soil, fucking.
I've got there's a playlist that's just come up. Cold Chamber, Mudvayne, Static X.
Do you know who's really good at it these days? Is Alter Bridge. They do it really well. When they go heavy, it's total frat boy metal.
Yeah,
but they do it really well.
yeah, that's it. Because that's not all they do either. That's like part of an album.
Yeah, but it'd be easy to say, well, that's. I don't know what the word is. It's weak. It'd be easy to say, well, it's formulaic or whatever. But Alter
It's
Bridge,
stripped back.
But doing it these days is not something that's often done, apart
No.
from by certain bands we're going to move on to that don't do it well. But Alter Bridge do it and still do it well. That's a rare thing, I think, these days. That wrestling intro music is a great way of describing it. When you said, Phil, this is like wrestling music, that's an excellent way of describing it, because these are bands, the modern day bands that we're going to move on to, they're bands that wrestlers' intro music is fucking built for. But I would argue that some do it far better than others. And
wrestling intros now, they tend to do their own. Like Fozzie's, Chris Jericho's doing his own with Fozzy. He uses Judas effect. Judas, the song Judas.
That makes sense though, because he's got his own band. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
gets rights for it. You know.
Is it, what does he call his band, Jericho? Is it just
Fozzy?
Fozzy.
Oh, is it Fozzy? Sorry, yeah. And yeah, because of course Walls of Jericho was already taken.
Yeah.
So what's next, Wayne?
Total bit of Slipknot.
Now,
can't go wrong with a bit of Slipknot. Duality,
if I'm looking at this correctly, this is your last proper song, and then you've got.
This is last. No. Whoa, hang on. It's not last proper song. It's the last song on my top 5.
And then you've got your wild card. Fucking just awesome. Oh my word, I'm depressed already because I know what's coming up. But yeah, your next choice was Duality by Slipknot, taken from, I want to say, Volume 3.
It's third album, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Volume 3.
I won't lie. I was into Slipknot from the first record.
Yeah.
The second record, Iowa, is my personal favorite. I think it's excellently made. Just as brutal, visceral, violent, mad, angry as the first, but has an element of better production that gives it a different level, I guess. For me personally, I know Phil, you're a big fan. You much prefer the original.
First album's like a punk album, though. I think that's what draws me to it, because it's just like angry kids playing angry music.
Yeah, the second one is much more. Yeah, it's, I wouldn't say commercialized, but it's much more of a product.
Yeah, I mean, they'd obviously made a bit of a name for themselves because they had like a song on was it Resident Evil movie or something?
Yeah, it's My Plague. Yeah, it was on Resident Evil.
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty much massive for the moment they dropped the first album, because everyone was like, holy shit, these are guys in masks and there's 9 of them, and it was like, that was gimmicky, but then they had the songs to back it up as well.
That's it. And I think, to me, Volume 3, which is of course what Duality's taken from, I would argue that was the last Slipknot record that they held on to any kind of element that they had on the first 2. They've been lacking it since, and I think because this was the first one where solos and stuff were incorporated, a lot of the guitar work, like how impressive they are as musicians, came through more on this record. And there were some big singles, Duality being the biggest, obviously. But at the same time, I would say that the record after this was All Hope Is Gone. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And that at that point they'd lost every element of the first. And I don't think, as much as they go heavy still, like with the We Are Not Your Kind has got some really heavy moments on it. The Grey Chapter is not an album I'm massively familiar with, but they still sound like Slipknot.
There's a lot of Stone Sour comes through in it.
Yeah, to my taste, too much. But Volume 3 was the last record I would say that there was any element of the first record or Iowa that sound that really made them what they are. Volume 3 was the last record that had that on it, I think. I'm a big fan. People are down on this record. I think it's great.
I really like this song. I think the vocals on it is just. I mean, I like his voice anyway.
Corey Taylor's a hell of
Yeah.
a vocalist.
I think Corey Taylor's got a belting voice. So, you know, and again, it's one of them songs that is a bit of a feel-good song. It's as much as it's probably not meant to be. It's definitely one that you can put on. And you know, like I said, a lot of my choices and a lot of my top 5, well, near enough all my top 5 are very commercialized.
Do you know
metal songs?
But my favorite thing about the duality, like my favorite element to it is smacking a tin with a baseball bat.
Yeah, dun dun dun. dun, dun, dun. Yeah, man, that's it. Like Hetfield did that thing on, I think it was on Some Kind of Monster, where he's cocking a shotgun for, you know, the pump action sound. That's a percussion sound that Hetfield put in the back of a track on Some Kind of Monster. But I can't help but think that he never had done that if Slipknot hadn't just been slapping the shit out of anything that they could bring in the studio. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and the video's fucking brilliant for this song as well. Like it sums up that like teenage angst. A lot of people get into metal in their teenage years because they feel like outsiders, and it's a community. And this video sums that up just fucking perfectly. And there's nothing about this is almost the perfect metal release for its mass appeal while still being metal as fuck.
I think it's definitely one of them songs where if you're not really familiar with metal or you're not really into that kind of stuff, I think it's one of them songs where if you put it on, by the end of it, they'll be like, yeah, that's a good tune, that.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's definitely it's definitely a turner, you know, people. I mean, I know I'm not a massive, huge fan of Slipknot. It's not something that I would sit there and listen to all their albums and all that kind of stuff. But and it's same with a lot of bands. I will sit and listen to certain songs and think that is an absolute banging song. But the rest of the album just might not tickle my fancy whatsoever.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. Their albums are very much like the singles are so obvious on their records. Maybe not on the first one. Maybe not on the first one because that album was just start to finish fucking violence in music. But every record since, the songs that are singles stand out as such. Like I don't want to say they're dumbed down for the singles, but they clearly have gone into approaching those particular songs like we need 3 singles off this record, so they've written 3 singles.
Yeah,
and this is a good example of that.
You can see that definitely in, and it's not just them that do that. There's quite a few other ones as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, there's quite a lot of other bands that do exactly the same. And especially,
it's still metal. It's still heavy.
Yeah.
It's not like they've dumbed down to the point of being a pop band. But you can, in fact, if anything, you could argue that, like Phil was saying, where a lot of it's very stone sour as they went forward after this.
Yeah.
This was a single from Volume 3.
Yeah.
The entire All Hope Is Gone record, even the album tracks, are more commercial than this one song.
Yeah, you know? It's not always. See, commercial sounds like when I say commercial, or when I'm saying commercial, referring to music, it's something. It's almost like a dirty term, and I don't know.
I don't think it should be.
I don't know. It helps me understand what I'm meaning when I say that kind of thing.
But it's a term that's loose.
Accessible, I like better than commercial, or I guess more accessible is kind of the phrase that I tend to use just personally, because stuff like Slipknot stuff can be more accessible, especially like the first album. There's stuff like Wait and Bleed that's more accessible on that album than stuff like Eyeless.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And accessible is a much. It is a less. Oh man, what's the word? It's a less insulting term than commercial.
Commercials like you're deliberately trying to make it sellable. Exactly.
Yeah, commercial implies an element of business for the mass market, I guess. Whereas accessible just means more people might
give it a bash.
Yeah, not like it appeals to more, just like this would be more easily listenable to someone who isn't into what we do. And I think Duality is a perfect example of a metal, an accessible metal song, because it's got a good structure to it. It's full of hooks, but it keeps those core elements, the aesthetic, the certain sounds that go with that band. Like, you still know it's that band, and people that are into that band will still hear that and think, yeah, that's that band and I like it. But it's as you say, it's more accessible to those who don't. Commercial can be, as you say, it's a dirty word, you know.
Yeah.
As a side note, I think it's my favorite Masks era as well.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think
I'd agree with that, actually.
Because for every record, they changed the masks.
Maybe second. I like the second album Masks.
I like
because they're just coming away from the first.
Yeah, I like Corey's mask for the for Iowa, because it kind of looked decaying and evil.
Yeah.
But I think the whole band had better masks at this point. And after this is where they went a little bit more fashion statement.
Yeah, I don't like Corey's mask at the moment, the one that looks like that fucking see-through GIMP mask thing.
Yeah. Was it All Hope Is Gone where one eye was bigger than the other? And all the time, every time I see that mask, all I can think is that he's wearing a monocle. And it's like, that's just the stupidest fucking thing. But yeah, so that's Duality by Slipknot. Right.
So this is one for you, this, Dave. I've heard this on your podcast before. I've heard you talk about this band before.
Yeah, look, it's not just me. Phil thinks they're fucking just awesome too. So we're talking about Disturbed, obviously. And the song you've chosen is Down With The Sickness. David Draymond is just awesome. He comes out on stage in a straight jacket.
He's got the same name as you.
Fucking awesome. So let's move on.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty successful thing for a thing with a new our first threesome.
So everyone should get in touch. Let us know what you think of Wayne's choices. Tell us if you like Disturbed. Tell me the reasons why. That would be lovely. And you can get in touch in various ways. You can get us on Facebook. That's the best place to reach us. That is in the search bar. Just hit and Phil and Dave EA, or search Heavy in all caps on Twitter. We are
at Phil and Dave.
Yeah, sorry, at Phil and Dave EA, or search Heavy. On Twitter, we're &_excellent. If you want to find us on YouTube, as I said last time, all of the YouTube has just been revamped. Wayne has spent a few weeks doing that. And we've now got all of our podcasts are on there. All of the Screen Masters podcasts and the Wrestle podcasts are all up there. I believe some of the Fretting Out gear is there as well. All the video challenges that myself and Phil have done. Yo-Yo guessed that video. Name as many of these things as you can in an allotted amount of time. We'll be doing more of those as soon as the opportunity presents. You can get all of that on YouTube now. You just want to go on YouTube and search Byte Back Media. That's Byte with a Y, B-Y, not B-I. And should you feel generous and you want to help us keep the lights on, then you can find us on Patreon as well. Just search Byte Back Media on Patreon, and you'll find us there too, the other one. And I think we're all in agreement. We did a thing. Wayne, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
No, thanks for putting up with me.
We should do this again sometime as well. I like.
Feels like we're in the same room.
It does. This audio is
proper
confusingly clear.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we did a thing. We did a collective three-way thing. We sent each other pictures of naked old ladies. We
hanging granny titties.
Metal. Hanging granny titties. We talked about Wayne's favorite bands, power metal, Disturbed. We did some news. I went for a piss. So yeah, cheers everyone. Keep it heavy. We'll catch you next time.